Is the robotic revolution going to happen in the future, or is it already here? Well, I'd argue, looking at a company, Intuitive Surgical, ISRG, that the robot revolution is here. You look at the stock price, it is up over 9,000% over the last 2 decades. This makes you wonder, what do they do and where does the stock go from here? My name is Daniel. You're watching Unrivaled Investing, a no-hype, mission-focused channel trying to find you exceptional companies and unrivaled investments. And so looking at this, ISRG made their name by selling their immensely successful Vinci robotic system. In 2000, this system received clearance effectively from the FDA for general laparoscopic surgery. Since then, they've expanded to several different types of procedures, dozens of different types of procedures, and they've expanded selling their system around the world. And so the reason why they're winning, I'd argue, comes from a few key aspects. One is you have better outcomes. Two, you have better experience, not only for the patients, but also with the practitioners, and you're also looking at lower cost for the health system. And part of the reason why they're winning is because they're enabling the practitioners to become superhuman in many ways, some of which is basic things like software that can filter the tremor inherent in a surgeon's hand or enable micro incisions that a human hand wouldn't easily perform. This is why part of their marketing, they talk about precision beyond the limits of the human hand. This makes sense. Now, thinking about their unit economics, their business model is contingent upon selling new robotic systems. They've been selling around 1,000 new systems a year, a little bit over. And overall, around the world, they've got around 7,000 systems installed. But looking at their business model, actually around 75% of their business is recurring in nature, which is what I really want to see. That's driven by instruments, accessories, and services. And for example, when you think about this business model, around $500,000 to $2.5 million might be spent on a new Da Vinci system. However, each procedure, Intuitive Surgical, can make $600 to, let's say, $3,500 per procedure, once again, from the consumables tied to instruments and accessories. So that's the reason why about 75% of their revenue is recurring in nature. Now, they've grown so significantly over time, and that growth is what has propelled the stock price higher from, let's say, a few $1 million in revenue to nearly $6 billion. This does raise the question, well, where does Intuitive Surgical go from here? First, a quick plug, where if you're looking to take charge of your investment journey, consider unrivaledinvesting.com, where you'll get actionable insights on unrivaled companies. We also have a community of fellow investors that you can learn and share with. I also share my own personal journey for those interested in following along. Big thank you to all the Unrivaled Investing subscribers that make this happen. So I look at Intuitive Surgical. I see a business with strong historic growth, huge profit margins, significant free cash flow. These are the things that put a smile on my face, and I see that they're reinvesting for future growth. They recently launched the new platform, so not Da Vinci, but ION, which is initially aimed at lung cancer, helping with minimally invasive biopsies. So this is just another growth vector for them. So I look at this business. I love the fact that they're constantly launching new procedures for their equipment, looking at different growth opportunities. I like to see that. And so I think about this business from a hypothetical valuation framework. Where does it go from here? Of course, the stock price can go way higher or lower. A lot depends on execution. And keep in mind, this is not financial advice. Check out the disclaimer in the description of this video. And so I look at this, and this company maybe grows at, let's say, a high teens, maybe a 20% growth rate this year, ballpark figure. They have around a 30% profit margins, give or take. This year might be a little bit lower. In the next few years, it might be a bit higher, depending on cost inflation. You look at end earnings multiple, so a forward earnings multiple around 40 times for a company growing, let's say, sub 20%. So that is pretty rich. So people know this is an exceptional company. You're clearly getting a very, sub 20% growth and a 40 times earnings multiple means people know this is great. What I like to see is a 20% growth rate and, let's say, sub 20 times earnings multiple. That is what I want to see. Here it is. That's you have to pay for Intuitive Surgical. People know this is a great company. And so trying to pencil out, what does this company look like, let's say, over the next 5 years, assuming they continue to grow, let's say 15 to 20% annualized, and assume 5 years out that there's an end multiple of, let's say, 25 to 30 times. You look at the fact that they do have significant cash on their balance sheet, over $8 billion. You factor that into the valuation. And the reality is it's still just not crazy compelling, even though the stock price has sold off, quite a bit. And so all overall, looking at the current price around $192 a share, I'm saying to myself, yeah, maybe there's break even, or maybe you can get a low teens rate. But in order to have a really exceptional return from here, you're going to have to make the assumption that one, that they're going to have, let's say, faster growth than 20% annualized, let's say over the next 5 years, and two, that you can comfortably pencil out a 30 times multiple or greater over the next 5 years. And personally, looking at this risk environment, I'm not looking to make that decision for myself. I'm going to talk, potentially more about Intuitive Surgical with my Unrivaled Investing subscribers, talk about, maybe what price I'd want to consider buying it. I'm looking at it here and I'm just saying I'd certainly want it lower, given that their growth rate of, let's say, sub 20% or maybe around 20%, it seems like you're already sort of getting that covered with that current earnings multiple. And I personally prefer deeper value. I look for things, if I want, growth, I'd rather have growth at a more reasonable price. So I do consider myself, a range from deep value to GARPy type of investor. But if you feel like I'm missing something with Intuitive Surgical, I'd absolutely love to hear your insights, because it clearly is a very special company. I haven't covered everything about it that makes it special and why I think it'll be so sticky in the years ahead. So I'd absolutely love to hear your take. And if you enjoyed this video, please make a point of hitting that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in.